Why are nice guys royally fucked in dating and in relationships? What about their specific actions that they do that makes women vomit instantly when they detect a nice guy? Man, I used to be the typical nice guy myself. I call him the Kevin persona. And that's because my grandma raised me and obviously without a masculine role model. So I was raised in a pretty feminine way. And I thought the antidote to the nice guy is the macho, the Andrew persona, as I call him. So I've seen both sides and I know what works with women and I know what does not work with women. And as a result, I've been with several hundreds of women. I've been in several long term relationships, and I'm currently in a functional, amazing relationship with an amazing ride or die woman. In today's video, man, I'm going to share with you the 7 things that you need to stop doing immediately to stop conveying that you're a nice guy and become more attractive and attract high quality women, high quality relationships, or even save yourself from a divorce. Number one, you need to stop acting needy and show clingy behavior. You need to stop looking for reassurance from her or approval from her. So I see this with so many men. I've been guilty of that myself, like when she doesn't text you back immediately, whether it's a date or a girlfriend, you start getting nervous, and then you have this urge to like immediately text her and like get reassurance from her that she still is attracted to you. So, or like in a relationship, when she doesn't hold your hand, when she doesn't kiss you when you want her to kiss you, or when she maybe rejects you, like your intimacy, your need for intimacy, you start suddenly like become like, you get this sensation in your heart that you feel like a bit less of a man, you feel suddenly worthless, and you become nervous around that. You suddenly want to like chase after her and like tell her, hey, like I want more approval from you, and then you start catastrophizing.
Oh my gosh, maybe she doesn't love me anymore. Maybe she's with another man. Maybe she's cheating. Or maybe, yeah, she's dating other guys.
When you're dating her. And when I was with like Sarah or Marie, I constantly had this like those thoughts appear when she didn't text me back immediately. When she I don't know, like took like a couple of hours to respond to my messages. Marie, for instance, who was an investment banker, like she was obviously busy, but my irrational brain in that moment completely ignored that, because I had watched too much Red Pill and I thought, oh my gosh, she's cheating on me. And then I became needy. So I started texting her like almost angrily, like, hey, why are you not responding? And I completely ignored the context of her day, which was she is actually busy and she doesn't have like time to look on her phone. And the same with Sarah, when I started cheating on her and she found out, but she still stayed with me. But she started pulling away. And that made me super insecure about myself. So I started seeking reassurance. I started seeking approval from her, so to make sure that I had the certainty that she's not going to leave me. So what actually happened in that moment when she didn't text me back, when we were walking down the street and she didn't hold my hand, or when we were like in bed and she didn't look like reach for my hand, that's when I started to like become insecure about my own self, because I thought she doesn't love me anymore, and now she is like going to leave me very soon. So I was sort of victim of my confirmation bias. So that confirmation bias means that I was looking for signs to confirm a theory that I had made up, or a story that I had made up in my own head. And then instead of looking for signs that showed that she actually still was attracted to me, I was looking for signs that showed or revealed that she was not attracted to me anymore, right? Anyways, where was this coming from? Where was this sense of insecurity coming from? So every time she acted in a specific way that was not matching my expectations, my fear of abandonment got triggered. And instead of working through that fear of abandonment that was internal rather than external, I focused on the external, which was Sarah or Marie in that moment. So I tried to get reassurance from them rather than reassure myself in that moment. And that was ultimately unattractive for women because it conveyed like weakness. It conveyed lack of confidence in myself, lack of confidence in the relationship, or maybe even when it comes to dating, lack of confidence in the relationship between that person or that woman and me. It conveys that I'm severely attached to that woman and that I do not believe that my sexual market value is high enough to replace that woman, so that I have this crazy dependency on that woman, not even attachment, but codependency on that woman, so that if she were to leave me, I would not like be able to replace her. I would not be able to be ever happy again. Now that puts a massive amount of pressure on that woman. Second, this is unattractive because women deep down on a primal level are only attracted to men who are also attractive to other women that are at least of comparable sexual market value or above. Now, if you are needy and clingy, it shows or conveys to her that you will not be able to attract a woman of at least same amount of sexual market value, which again makes you less attractive because she essentially is not with a winner, she's actually with a loser in her point of view. And it doesn't matter that you are actually not a loser, but your actions show that you are a loser, that you are a Kevin, that you act like a Kevin. And again, as I said, women are not attracted to a Kevin because Kevin is essentially at the bottom of the sexual market hierarchy. Because Hercules, right? Hercules is the ultimate best possible version, the most attractive version of yourself. He wouldn't look for reassurance. He wouldn't look for approval from a woman. Why? Because he has inner strength. He has enough self-belief. Do you think Hercules, who would climb Mount Olympus, would ask for approval or permission or reassurance to do this from his girl, bro? He wouldn't, man. The only thing that he would potentially ask for is support. Hera, can you like prepare the sandwiches that I will take with me to climb Mount Olympus? He wouldn't burden her with his insecurities about his own skills and capabilities to climb that fucking mountain, bro. So how do you ditch this Kevin paradigm that you live into and develop this Hercules paradigm? So here's what I did. I asked myself, what story am I living into right now that makes me feel needy and clingy? Am I seeing her as my lover, or am I seeing her as my mom? And how would I need to reframe the stories that I live into right now to act less like a Kevin and more like a Hercules? Claiming that you are not like the other guys. I see a lot of Kevins saying that they're like completely different to the bad boys, but what they do not understand is that they're inherently as toxic as bad boys. Both Kevin as well as Andrew are operating under covert contracts. Their execution just looks different. So both Kevin the nice guy and Andrew the hyper macho are both operating on the extreme or the polar opposites of the spectrum, but they're both toxic and they're both manipulative. Kevin uses niceness as a disguise, while Andrew uses the macho hypermasculinity as disguise to get into her panties. The reason why both are manipulative is because both are inauthentic. Like, unlike Kevin's strategy, Andrew's strategy at least works because it conveys confidence and it conveys charm and charisma. And Andrew masters the art of seduction, while Kevin doesn't even have the balls to master the art of seduction to get into someone's panties or into a long-term relationship or in a relationship, because Kevin is just afraid of himself, afraid of being himself, and he's afraid of looking like a bad man. So he wants to virtue signal that he is different. But fundamentally, Kevin is like Andrew. They're both using deceit to get something that they want. Now they're both putting on a performance, they're both putting on a mask, and they are not being authentic. Women have a sixth sense. They have a radar, a bullshit radar, or let's say an inauthenticity radar, and they will pick up quickly whether or not you're actually real. And if you're not real, no matter how much money you have, how many abs you have, and how big your arms are, and how hot you are, you might get into their pants, you might get hookups, but a high quality woman, she will not even actually sleep with you, and she will for sure not enter a relationship with you because she does not want to be with a man that actually is not as strong as he says he is, or a man that is not who he pretends or claims to be. And if you lie to her, which is being inauthentic, that means your word cannot be trusted. And if your word cannot be trusted, you're not a masculine man. And let's be honest, bro, a feminine woman will not be able to trust a man that is lying to her, bro. That means she cannot trust your words. She cannot ever rely on you when shit hits the fan. Maybe she could, but because you lied to her, it makes her feel unsafe around you. And that's when she will hold back. And that's when she will, and because of that, she will suppress her feminine energy. And because she will have to suppress her feminine energy when she's with you, she herself will not be able to be authentic. Point number 3, bro, is when you don't hold her to standards. I've seen this with so many Kevins, bro. They are so afraid to hold a woman to a specific standard, either on a date or in a relationship. And it just ultimately backfires because a man that doesn't have a spine, who's not ready to protect his principles and live with integrity, is ultimately unattractive because it shows that you lack confidence. Again, it always comes down or comes back to confidence, right? If you are not confident enough to stand up for your own values and protect your own needs because you find her attractive or because you believe that you don't want to, it would hurt her. It just shows weakness. It reeks of weakness. And if there's one thing that women absolutely detest and despise, that is a weak man. And women will test you on your ability to actually hold them to standards and like put them in their place and like protect your own principles and values, for instance. So I've been on dates where women like started to check on their phone, or like they put even their phone on the fucking table or at the table. I'm not sure what preposition to use here, bro, but like they put it on their phone, and I just don't like that, you know. And then and that's why I immediately set the boundary, said, hey, like unless you expect anything like urgent or there's an emergency in your family, I would appreciate if you could just put the phone away so that we can focus on the two of us, you know, and have a great time here. Women love a man that they can respect. Women will be sexually attracted to a man that they respect. But women will not be sexually attracted to a man that they like, which is a bit of a like mind fuck for us, man. And what most nice guys like focus on is to be liked, but they don't focus on being respected. So on a date, you need to be comfortable to voice your opinion, like stand up for something, stand up for your beliefs. I'm not saying that you should start having like a fucking political conversation on the date and never talk about politics on a date, actually, but like be okay with like disagreeing with her. Be okay with setting a healthy boundary, which is stop fucking watching your phone while we have a conversation, because that is rude in my point of view. For instance, like in the setting, like, or for instance, when you talk about logistics on a date and like she insists on a dinner date, then, and you don't want to have a dinner date, then be ready to walk away and say, like, you know what, like I'm not interested in like buying you dinner. I don't even know you yet. Dinner is too intimate for me. I only have dinner with friends or my girlfriends. So like dinner is a holistic. Dinner is too intimate for me to share it with a stranger. If you don't want to date me because I refuse to have dinner with you on the first date, then yeah, I'm not the guy for you, you know? And actually, fun fact, most girls or most women who demand a dinner date, they are not sexually attracted to you. They are sexually attracted to your potential wallet. I've also been on dates with like the Jessica Boss Babe female archetype, which were like a bit more in their masculine, which is okay. I can help them back into their feminine. That's fine as long as I'm in my masculine energy. But these girls, like they started when they were like, I really disliked about them was that they, not that they were like also like try to compete with me, but more like that they started to interrupt me like when I was talking. And I had to tell some girls like, hey, can you stop interrupting me? And actually with Sandra, I think it's like a part in their Polish culture, that sometimes they just like I've observed her and her parents, and I've known a lot of I know a couple of Polish people. Like in their culture, they just talk over each other. It's a thing. Now I dislike that. So when I like when Sandra starts interrupting me, I'm like, hey Sandra, I haven't finished my point yet. Can you please give me the time to finish my point? I'm like, hey Sandra, like I'm not done yet. And she respects that. And she's like, oh, yeah, sorry. And especially in relationships, I know that a lot of Kevins are too afraid to voice their standards, you know? And of course, you first need to fucking develop your confidence, you know? But on like after you, like, that's a given, you know? And if you need help with developing your confidence, bro, like, why don't you work with me? You can apply for like my program and my mentorship. And yeah, so just click on the link below. I'd love to help you get that 10 out of 10 confidence and attract high quality women and high quality relationships, you know? But coming back to relationships, like a true game changer for me, to set like higher standards in relationships was actually to define my own standards for the relationship and communicate them with Sandra. So what we did was, I'm going to put on like a B-roll or whatever. I'm going to put on a video of, so you can see what we did. But essentially we were like, I hope you can see this now. We defined our relationship standards on the vision board, and every time like Sandra like doesn't fulfill her standards, I'm gonna I just say, hey Sandra, look at the vision board. Are you like, I'm holding you accountable to your vision board, and do you feel like you're aligned with the standards that we set or that you set yourself for this relationship? There's no escape from the truth in that moment because she's written them down herself. Like, okay, so you're being inauthentic and unaligned with who you want to be. So what's the solution? And bam, like that's how that's how she immediately switches up. And I know that there is this myth that women are like, women accountability are like fire and water, they don't go well together, but it's not true. It is your job as a masculine man to hold women accountable, bro. So like, how did I get to the point of being confident enough to set those kind of boundaries and do these kind of exercises? Like, I just asked myself, okay, what stories, again, what stories am I living into? What am I afraid of happening? Why am I afraid of losing her? This next question is super powerful. Next exercise is actually is based on a deeply psychological like principle that we mirror our childhood wounds in our romantic relationships. So Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, Jordan Peterson have all like dug deep into these. And if you want to read more about that, comment below, and I can recommend some great books. But fundamentally, the wounds that we have experienced in our childhood, absent father, the controlling mother, the overprotective mother, like all those wounds will come up in our romantic relationships. So the best exercise to sort of discover what kind of wounds you have and what kind of patterns you see in your romantic relationships that might actually stem from your childhood is to write down your entire life as if you were to write a biography, and then write down like from your first memory till today the memories that you have, how you felt, what they made you feel, and chronologically, obviously, and like the adversity that you overcame, the things that you're proud of, and all the things that you've overcome. You know, like if you were bullied at school, or you had a toxic breakup, or you got a divorce, like how did you feel about that, bro? And what came up? And yeah, write that down and journal this, and that will help you identify why you lack the confidence to set boundaries, because you can identify patterns and connect the dots. Acting emotionally weak. Now, that can mean a lots of things, but especially in the Kevin persona, so the nice guy persona that you're in, acting emotionally weak means a lot of blaming, shaming, and emotionally collapsing, and lack of accountability or lack of extreme agency and ownership. So what do I mean by that? When I used to be this classic Kevin, I was always blaming others. I was blaming women for not finding me attractive. I was blaming society for not having educated women enough that I am the perfect guy for women because I'm the perfect good boy. And I was blaming my parents for abandoning me. I was blaming my grandma for raising me as a good boy. And I was constantly shaming bad boys for like being like undecent or indecent. I don't know what the right word is, like bad human beings. And I never truly took accountability for my own life. I never truly took full accountability of my own actions. I was essentially guided by like the lowest vibrational emotions that are out there, which is shame, fear, guilt. And I was projecting that onto others. And because of these unaddressed emotions, because of these very negative emotions that was always constantly carrying with me, I lost my temper often, bro. So when you cannot control your emotions, it violates at least two of our primary desires, which are emotional safety, physical safety, and then actually also emotional connection and all the other primary desires, because fundamentally at the foundation of attraction is emotional and physical safety. Now, why are those so important? Because they're essentially the most like the most primal and most basic human needs every man has. Maslow's hierarchy of needs states that a woman, or like a human being, sorry, in general, is looking for safety and shelter and well-being, health. Now, if you as a man cannot control your emotions, that means that you are more likely to lose your temper and get physical. And if she's around a man that cannot be trusted with his words and can potentially get physical, like she's gonna feel unsafe and in an uncertain environment, which will put her in stress, in a stressful environment. And if someone is in a stressful environment, they are not open to love or connection. Why? Because it violates the most basic human need. I remember Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the beginning or at the bottom, it is safety. If safety is not met in a relationship, especially for women, or it doesn't matter if it's a woman or a man, if safety is violated, you will not be able to focus on anything else, because your nervous system is going to be set on fire, because all it looks for is, am I going to survive? Am I going to be on high alert right now because I'm in a stressful environment? Emotionally weak men are unattractive because of those things. Now, another and these are all subconscious things that her brain will interpret based on your emotional weakness. Emotional weakness also means that you burden her with like your lack of strength, which means, let's say when I'm in a like stressful period of my, like when I like let's say when like I'm building my own business, right? Say I run my own business, right? Running a business is stressful and there's no certainty in business, right? So there's a lot of ups and there's a lot of downs. So when I am in a down period, the last thing I'm going to do is burden Sandra with potentially fears and uncertainties that I experience in that moment. Why? Because it's going to put her feminine essence at threat, and it's going to make her feel like she has to step up in her masculine energy to reassure me and approve of my ability to figure things out. Remember, that is clingy and needy behavior. Now, I'm not saying that you should not open up about your struggles. I do have regular conversations with Sandra about how I feel and what I'm going through. But I have those conversations from a place of strength, not from a place of weakness. What do I mean by that? I tell her, hey, Sandra, today I'm having a bad day. Can you help me with, can you make this dinner for me, or can you do my meal prep? And I tell her, hey, like the next couple of weeks, I need to be locked in, monk mode almost on my business. And there are certain things that I can help you with. I'm happy to help you with. But there are also certain things I will not be able to help you with. And also, there are things that I would like you to do for me to support me and clear my path. So if you help me clear my path, I'm going to help you clear your path, which means I'm going to make all the money. You don't have to worry about making money in your business. Yeah, simple as that. So that's the sort of agreement that we have. That conveys confidence because of several reasons. I hold my standards up. I voice those standards. I am not clingy. I don't burden her with my like potential fears. And all of that signals one thing: competence, self-belief, and confidence. Actually, two things and more. Trying to fix her. This is sort of the ultimate Kevin behavior. And this was a joke, a running joke in one of the boot camps that I hosted, a couple of months ago here in Marbella, amongst my clients and I. What do I mean trying to fix her? So I'm sure you've had a situation where you've been in a relationship with a girl, and maybe you're like married right now, or in a relationship, or you've been broken up with recently. You were with your girl, and she started complaining about her boss, her friend Becky, who was doing some weird shit, or something else. She complained about something. While she was complaining about the thing, you already started thinking about, okay, solutions to fix that problem that she was sharing. And then when she stopped yapping, when she stopped talking about that problem and she stopped complaining about it, you offered her a solution, such as like, yeah, why don't you tell her? Or why don't you tell your boss? And why don't you do XYZ? While you were like proud and patting yourself on the back because you found a solution to your problem, she then snapped and said like, you don't get me, you never understand me, why? Like, I'm like, and then she got just mad and more angry at you, and you were looking at yourself like,
What the hell just happened? I've solved your problem. Why are you not thankful to me?
and I used to be that kind of guy as well. I used to work in finance, right? I'm like entrepreneurial, I'm highly analytical, but thank fucking God, I also developed an intuition and emotional intelligence, and I also fucking understand women now, so that I know that in that moment where a woman, or when a woman complains, I will not rush to be Bob the Builder and try to fucking fix it. I'm not trying to immediately fix her situation or her complaint unless she explicitly tells me to do so. So why is she mad at you in the first place, even though you gave her a solution? You have to understand that men and women are different, inherently different, especially when it comes to how they solve problems. When it comes to problems, women want to vent and share their problems first before they even think about finding a solution. And most often, they actually start finding a solution through venting and sharing it. But what is most important to women in that moment is that they can just get it off their chest and relieve themselves of the emotional burden that this problem carries with them. So we men are different. We are looking for an immediate solution to a problem. And the way we go about things is that often we don't really talk about the problem. What we do is when we have a problem, we retreat, we retreat back into our cave, and then we start thinking about the solution. And if we can't come up with the solution, we ask for help. So that means that when we have reached the point of asking for help or sharing this problem with someone, that means that we've tried everything, we've exhausted all our potential options, and we cannot find a solution. So that's why we're looking for help from the other guys, and that's why we actually expect them to come up with a solution. So our paradigm is a conversation happens only when we've exhausted all our options. So this man right now is helpless and we need to help him. So that's why we need to offer him solutions. When a woman comes, like, but the paradigm of a woman is, I want to have a conversation first to relieve myself of the emotional burden, and then I'm going to find a solution. So do you see how it is completely inverted? Neither is right or wrong in that case. It's just a different approach. So do you understand why it annoys a woman so much when you deny her the ability to just vent and you give her a solution? Because in that moment, you signal to her, you convey to her that you do not understand her. You do not get her. And that means, in her point of view, that her primary desire of emotional safety and actually most likely emotional connection is not met, because a man that would get her would allow her to just vent, and after she's done venting he would ask, hey, do you want some solution to this, do you just want to share and vent, do you just want to have a hug? That's what a Hercules would do in that moment. He would show her like, hey, I understand you, I acknowledge you, and I'm potentially here to help you, but you tell me. But I give you all the space that you need to decide for yourself. And that allows her to be feminine, you know? And every woman wants to be with a man that is masculine, composed, and grounded enough for her to feel like a feminine woman. Look back at your previous interactions with women, especially in a relationship, and ask yourself, okay, how often have I tried to fix something where she actually not proactively asked for a fix? And what happened after I offered the fix? And most likely you'll find a pattern. The next point is like, that was textbook me. That is a textbook Kevin behavior, and that is over apologizing. And I see that in a lot of my clients, as especially who are like from Canada or the UK, where this is sort of also culturally embedded and enforced and conditioned kind of behavior. But again, it's like either culturally conditioned into you, or because you feel like unworthy, and that's why you're like over apologetic. So it's not only like limited to Canada and UK, it's also obviously in the States. I see that my clients are the European clients that I have, you know. And it's like something that I was so guilty of as well, especially during my nice guys days, where I apologize for literally anything, bro. Like someone bumped into me, I apologize, hey, I'm sorry. And I almost felt like ashamed of asking for things as well, you know. And so I said like, hey, I'm sorry to bother you. Or I didn't even ask people, you know, when I was walking through the supermarket and I needed an item, I didn't want to disturb the like person working there. I didn't want to like return food that was bad because I didn't want to like annoy or be an inconvenience to the waiter, bro. Like imagine that, man. And yeah, I mean, obviously also that was happening in relationships, you know. I was like too afraid to like stand up for my needs, or like when I felt like I was asking for too much, even though I was asking for the bare minimum, man. That's just like reeks of weakness, you know. It's like the definition of a Kevin. And as we by now you should know that Kevin is fucking unattractive. It comes or it shows up in life in not only in like when you say it, but also how you say it. Like,
Hey, I'm sorry for bothering you. Hey, excuse me. Is this a bad time? You know, I'm really sorry, and sorry for like asking this.
is it too much? You know, like I don't care. Or like if you believe right now that this is like just standard politeness, I don't think this is politeness. I think okay, maybe the intention behind it matters as well, but it reeks of I don't have any confidence, I don't have any self-esteem, and because of that, I believe that I need to ask for permission to even dare to ask something, or even dare to speak up. So the game changer to overcome this kind of limiting behavior and limiting belief, especially in relationships and also at work, actually. Like I was always, or I am a high achiever, but especially in finance, or like in finance, it was like predominant. I was like so scared, bro, because I didn't feel like I felt like an imposter in finance. But also when I was meeting high status people in my startup, when I was meeting, I don't know, with the like management from Daimler, for instance, or Barclays, you know, like top companies, I felt always like unworthy because they had a higher status title. I was like, bro, like at some point I was really annoyed by that, because I asked myself, okay, bro, like what specifically other than that title is making them more worthy than me? And I realized nothing, bro. Like I don't know them at all. It's just the status. It's just a title that gives them meaning. So I don't want them to feel like that they can walk over me, because it initially it ruined my performance in sales, because I actually pedestalized them. The same, like the same way that you pedestalize a woman, you pedestalize people in at work as well, because of the same issue, the same reason: a lack of self-esteem, which is a lack of confidence, which again is unattractive in dating and is unattractive in sales. Because if you don't believe in yourself, you will convey that you don't believe in the product that you're selling in business, but also the product in dating, which is yourself. If you don't believe in the product, then why should someone else believe in the product? And the next point is being too predictable, being too analytical, and being too boring. Now, a lot of Kevins are either too afraid to be funny, to be witty, to be charming, to tease, or like sexually flirt with a woman. Or when they're in a relationship, they're too afraid to like upset her, or like they start walking on eggshells because they are just afraid that woman would the woman that they love would leave them or would not love them anymore, because he made a joke at her expense potentially. But fundamentally, like, it's that sense of humor, it's that kind of banter that makes women attracted to you, like playfully teasing her without obviously harming her. And by harming, I mean having the intention to like degrade her or make her feel like she's worthless. That is harming, and that is definitely a dick move, and you shouldn't do that. But playfully teasing her, so saying things like, "Hey, you're adorably annoying today," or where's the mute button on you? Those, when you say that with a smirk, you're not saying that to like make her feel bad about herself, but it's an art of conversation. It's playfully teasing someone is banter, and banter is the glue of conversation. And let me ask you this, bro. Like, teasing is amongst men a way of checking whether or not that man is emotionally weak. Remember, emotional weakness is unattractive in a man, and it actually is unattractive in dating, but it's also unattractive in like men, or like for men that are high achievers and they only want to surround themselves with like other high achievers. Because if you want to become a high achiever, you cannot be emotionally weak. And men test that. They sort of separate the wheat from the chaff, I think, or chaff from the wheat. I don't know which way this fucking quote goes, by teasing someone. And so you can test the woman actually, so you can flip the script, and instead of her qualifying you, you can qualify her by playfully teasing her, whether she can stand a joke, whether she can take a joke, and whether she's actually like on your level, on your game as well. And this is super attractive because most men never qualify a woman. They never even disqualify the idea of sex, because they lack abundance of sex. And because of that, they pedestalize a woman, and they pedestalize sex by itself, and that makes them unattractive. And because of that, they're like overly concerned with not offending her, not upsetting her, and that's why they don't tease. But actually, it is that one thing that makes you more attractive, which is sexually like teasing her or playfully teasing her, and like less boring analytical conversations with a woman, even in a relationship. Because a masculine man is not only like stoic and grounded, but he's also witty and charming. Look at Leonardo DiCaprio, Ryan Reynolds. If you look at David Beckham, they're all funny, bro. They all have something about them that makes them stand out. And it's not their fame, their status. I mean, it helps, obviously, but it's also their way of engaging with the people around them. So ask yourself, when was the last time you actually had, like, you laughed from your belly? You did this on a date or in a relationship with your partner. When was the last time? And if you cannot recall when that happened the last time, bro, it's about time that this happens again. And what helped me to, let's say, what helps me right now to make sure that I'm not always in my analytical brain, which I'm guilty of because I run a business, so I have to be highly analytical. I watch Matt Rife. I watch Matt Rife's crowd work. This guy is brilliant. I watch Ricky Gervais. These two guys are like fascinating, fantastic, like comedians that can also help you like loosen up. Because fundamentally every woman wants to have fun, and if you can make a woman laugh without obviously becoming a clown, bro, like, you won.